Bible doesn't say there are 5 generals in hell.
It doesn't say there's not, does it?
What?
This video has confused a lot of people on social media because they don't understand what's going on here. You see, Matt is making the case to Cliff that simply because the Bible doesn't say something doesn't mean that you can just make up whatever you want. And that is what a lot of Christians have done. They have made up what they wanted out of the Bible when the Bible doesn't say exactly what the doctrine that people believe in. For instance, the Bible doesn't say anything about a rapture. But many Christians, especially the evangelicals in America, because you go outside of America and many people do not believe in a rapture. But wherever the evangelicals have gone, wherever they have dominated, people believe that there is a rapture, which wasn't made up until, I believe, the 1800s by a man named Darby. Maybe, yeah, the 1800s, I believe, by a man named Darby. And so there is no rapture in the Bible. It doesn't speak of it. In the same way, the Bible doesn't say that Jesus and God are one. If anything, there's more evidence to say that Jesus and God are not one than there is to say that they are one, but the Trinity was still created anyway. You see, the Bible has Jesus saying that he and the Father are the same, that the Father is in him and they are the same. But then a few verses later, a chapter later, he says the same thing to the disciples, that he and the disciples are one. So does that make the disciples and God one? You see, he wasn't talking about unity as far as one being. He was talking about if you act a certain way, then you are demonstrating the qualities of that certain individual. So if I acted like Dr. King, then I can say that Dr. King is within me. But I am not saying that we are the one and the same. That's all your Jesus character was talking about. So, but the early Christians in around the 2nd century started developing this idea of a Trinity, and so a Trinity was created, and by the time we get to the 4th century, the Trinity dominates and wins. It doesn't dominate Christendom, but it dominates the Roman Christians, and it wins in the Council of Nicaea. So therefore, y'all believe in the Trinity now. When earlier in Christianity, you would not have believed in the Trinity. If it wasn't for the Roman government and army, you would not be believing in the Trinity right now, just as there are many other doctrines. The Bible doesn't say that you are ill-fated for whatever life God had already predetermined, but those of Calvinism decided that predetermination is a real thing, but it doesn't say it. You see, the God of the gaps theory, it doesn't necessarily work. Many Christians believe in the God of the gaps, but the God of the gaps is not reality. It's not real. It's not something that is a true statement within the Bible. Because why? Because just because you cannot explain something doesn't mean that your God did it. But that is what Christians do. If their God, if they can't explain something, or if man can't explain something, yet we blame it on and say God of the gaps. But isn't that the way that most religions were formulated anyway? Oh, the mountain became a volcano. We don't know how the volcano happened. God did it. A God did it. Oh, there's lightning. We don't know how lightning forms. So it must be Thor. It must be Shango. Some God did it. Yahweh, the storm deity. There's a drought. We don't know why there's a drought. We must be being punished by God. So therefore you create this idea of a drought. So many of these creations in nature, these natural phenomena, I should say, in nature, became God-centered because man couldn't describe it. And your God of the gaps theory doesn't work. Plus, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence is another thing that people talk about. Because we cannot prove that your God exists, and there is no proof of it, there's absence of proof, doesn't mean that a God doesn't exist. There might be some intelligence out there that created and manifested the entire universe. But the absence of our knowledge of it doesn't mean that there isn't one. But at the same time, the absence of that evidence doesn't mean that there is one. It could have come through a natural phenomenon like different stars exploding and then contracting and becoming a singularity, or different singularities as we see that happens in the universe at all times, that these singularities could have created our galaxy for all we know. But we don't know. We don't know for sure. So the absence of evidence work on both sides of the coin. It comes down to how much evidence we do have and what evidence is most likely. We have more evidence against a God and against the God creation than we do have evidence of a godly creation. Nature is not perfect. So we are not existing in a perfect creation. Nature has never been perfect. The universe has never been perfect. It's always been chaotic. So therefore, a perfect creation has never been. And because we can see singularities and we can see nebulas, and which are birthing out stars, and those are birthing out solar systems, and we see the birthing of galaxies, there's more evidence of the universe being created simply because of nature and not by some intelligent creator. But hey, you choose to believe whatever you believe. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.